Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin, your host. Today, I'm joined just by Jesse Schule because Sean Higgs uh, had a little bit of a shoulder issue. He had to see the orthopedic guy today. So, hey, we wish Sean the best. And speaking of wishing you the best, before I get too caught up and sidetracked, we want to wish each and every one of you a very happy Thanksgiving and happy, enjoyable, and eat a lot and stay safe on Thanksgiving and the day before Thanksgiving, which is today, tonight, whatever. I know a lot of people like to partake in some alcoholic activities socially day before Thanksgiving. Just be safe, folks. Any event, Jesse, how are you? I don't know if they celebrate Thanksgiving in Thailand. They don't, because every day
Well,
is Thanksgiving with
and in
you.
Canada, my home country, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving at this time of year either. It's in the end of October, but there is a holiday this weekend in Thailand. It's the Lunar New Year or Festival of Light, something along those lines. It's the one where they put the lanterns up in the air and they float off with a
Oh,
candle in the middle of them. That's this weekend, so it's a big deal over here, and certainly want to be safe on the roads here in Thailand as far as being careful about how much you drink and how and where and when you drive because it's pretty dangerous out there.
yeah. Yeah, I was going to say every day's Thanksgiving for you because when I look at your videos, and if people looked at Jesse's Twitter or X page, which it's called now, you'll see plenty of photos and videos of Jesse cooking these Brontosaurus burger steaks that he tends to have 3 or 4 times a week, it seems. So he's always festive. Jesse's always got something going on when it comes to whining and dining. That's for sure. Jesse, we got a couple games we're going to talk about, big rivalry games that has national implications. I'm going to be looking at Florida State and Florida, battle of backup quarterbacks there, and you're looking at the huge matchup between Ohio State and Michigan. But before we get to that, Sean was scheduled to do the Auburn, Alabama game today on the show. If you were with us yesterday, you heard his take on it. If you did not, Sean likes Alabama. He says lay the 14.5 against Auburn. He cited Auburn's lack or anemic offense for being one of the major reasons why. Also, Alabama just seems like they're getting better and better every week, including their quarterback Milroe, and we both agreed with them. Correct, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's key here is Alabama is one of those teams that's going to need style points. If they find themselves in position to make the playoffs, they will be a one-loss team, and there's a handful of one-loss teams right now that will need style points and can't afford to slip up and win by a field goal against Auburn here because that wouldn't look great on the resume.
Yeah, it's too bad it's not a 12-team playoff this year because it would have been fitting. There's going to be a team or two that's going to be well deserving of being in the playoff that won't make it. And like Jesse just touched upon, we get at this point of the year now, and it's about style points too. I mean, look, Alabama's resume, they got one loss. The one loss came to Texas, who's only lost one game all year as well. And Texas is still vying for a college football playoff. The problem is if Texas wins out and wins the Big 12, even if Alabama beats Georgia and in the SEC title game, and assuming they beat Auburn in the regular season finale, if there's a tiebreaker between Alabama and Texas, I don't know how you leave Texas out, considering they won the head-to-head battle and won decisively.
Alabama really needs Texas to lose, don't they?
They certainly do, and Texas finishes the regular season up with Texas Tech, and then they'll play in a Big 12 championship game, and we'll see what transpires. A lot of interesting stuff on the horizon here over the next couple weeks in college football that will determine who will play for the national championship in that 4-team playoff. All right. Speaking of which, big game that you're covering here, Jesse. It's a big game every year, but it seems like lately it's been for national implications and a playoff spot as well over the last couple of years. Ohio State and Michigan. Right now, Michigan's a 3.5 point favorite. The total is 46. And, everybody keeps citing the superiority of Ohio State in terms of their strength of schedule. Michigan can quiet all those critics down by winning this game and then winning the Big Ten championship game, and they're a shoe-in to be there.
Yeah, it's not just a big game, it's the game. But I'm going to talk about the total. My official play is going to be on the total, Ross. But I do have a lean towards Michigan. I just look at I'm not buying the strength of schedule argument. We saw both these teams play Penn State. Common opponent isn't always the best indicator. But, both of these teams won but convincingly against Penn State. I thought Michigan was a little more convincing on the road at Penn State than Ohio State was at home. In fact, the one X factor for Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., without him, I'm not sure if they get past Penn State in that game. He was like a one-man wrecking crew in that game. The problem is their offensive line's a little suspect, especially against this Michigan defense. And I'm not sure that the offensive line can hold up for long enough for Marvin Harrison to get downfield far enough to make that impact that he did against Penn State. We did see Michigan run all over Ohio State last year, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last year, C.J. Stroud threw for 349 yards and a pair of touchdowns for Ohio State. Now C.J. Stroud in the NFL is in the MVP conversation. So Ohio State's replaced him with Kyle McCord. It doesn't seem like a very good substitute for C.J. Stroud. I mean, Kyle McCord hasn't had a single game where he's thrown for 349 yards this season. He's been rather pedestrian, in my opinion. I think they need a big game from Kyle McCord, and I haven't seen enough to give me any confidence that he's going to be able to do that. This total sits at 46. This game features the number 1 and number 2 ranked defenses in the country, both allowing single digits in points. Questionable schedules, perhaps, for both teams. Ohio State will lean on their win over Notre Dame, but that was quite a fortunate win in the end as well. So I'm not going to give them too much credit for that. And I struggle to see any evidence that they're going to be able to stop Michigan on the road at Michigan from running the ball. And my lean is Michigan, but my official play is going to be under 46 points.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I'm looking at Ohio State has allowed 17 points or fewer in all 11 games this year, while Michigan gave up a season-high 24 points at Maryland last week in a game that became much closer than Wolverines fans would have hoped for. After jumping out to a big lead, Maryland rallied in that game to make it competitive. But you look prior to that, they had allowed 15 points or fewer in their first 10 games. I mean, offensive explosiveness, I guess, when they play inferior competition. But like Ohio State, the Notre Dame win, they had 366 yards. Not a bad day against Notre Dame. Win on the last play of the game. And if you're looking at their non-conference portion of the schedule, I mean, the only difference in terms of strength of schedule is Ohio State faced Notre Dame in a non-conference part of their schedule, and Michigan played East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. Now, UNLV is not a bad team, but they're not in the same class as Notre Dame, obviously. But in any event, it should be an interesting matchup. I don't know. I just don't have a strong feeling either way. I'm going to say that I agree with Jesse on the under 46. You look at Ohio State this year, they have gone under the total in 9 of their first 11. Now, Michigan has gone over the total in 6 of their last 7, but most of that is due to their offensive production, which I don't think is going to be anywhere near as close as what because look at the competition they put up numbers against. They 45 against Nebraska, 52 against Minnesota, 52 against Indiana, 49 against Michigan State. All 4 of those teams, I believe, at this particular moment in time, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, all have losing records, and then 41 against Purdue, losing record. The one team with a winning record that they faced was 2 weeks ago against Penn State, and they only scored 24 points and had 287 yards of offense. Ohio State, again, you look at their offensive production, 20-12 against Penn State, 24-10 against Wisconsin. They did put up 35 on Rutgers, even though they only had 328 yards. Michigan State, look, Michigan State is a terrible team, and Minnesota has been a major disappointment this year as well. So, again, I think we're looking at a 17-10, 20-13 type of game. I'm not sure what side's going to prevail, but that's the way I see this game. So, Jesse, you like the under 46 in Ohio State, Michigan. That's our official play on this game. And I am going to turn it over to you, Jesse, to tell the folks exactly what's been going on with Jesse Schule of late. And over at gamblersworld.net, Jesse's been killing it. And also the fact that, don't forget, you can get Jesse's 3-day package right now on our Thanksgiving Day special. That runs through Friday. I should say just Thanksgiving special that runs through Friday at midnight. And you can get for $99, which is a 3-day subscription plan, you get the 4th day for free with Jesse. So if you jump aboard either tonight or tomorrow morning, you're going to get a full weekend of action. If you jump aboard tomorrow morning, if you jump aboard tonight, you're going to get Wednesday plays on Wednesday through Saturday. So tell them why they should partake in that, Jesse, with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've really turned things around the last 7 to 10 days. Back in the positive for the calendar year. Swept the board with football, college and pros over the weekend. 9-2 with NFL in the month of November. 66% with college football sides in the calendar year of 2023. 60% with NBA sides since going back about 365 days, I believe that is that run. College basketball off to a great start. Finished up the CFL with a winner in the Grey Cup, and there's no more CFL to bet on, but it felt good having the underdog winning outright in the Grey Cup. Soccer starts up again this Saturday, and if you do decide to back me and follow me in my picks, I do give you a variety of different sports. I play soccer, CFL, WNBA, MLS, pretty much as many angles as I can get out there. I like to be as diverse as possible, and things are working pretty well right now. I'm feeling confident, winning, sitting near the top of the leaderboards pretty much everywhere. So yeah, it's a great time to jump on board.
Yeah, we got a lot of sports going on at the same time. It keeps us very busy. It really creates a little bit of dilemma for me because at this time of year with the holiday, trying to balance family life and my profession. But I've been doing this for 20 years, so I'm used to it. But Jesse, if you look at his past results and go to gamblersworld.net, folks, where 10 of the finest handicappers in the country reside, including myself and Jesse. Jesse is number 2 the last 7 days with a 16-7 record. He's also number 3 over the last 60 days, 103-76. And he's doing very well. And let's look at his football stats here. Number 3 in the last 7 days in the NFL, number 2 in the NFL over the last 30 days with an 11-3 record. He's only second to Oskheim Sports. Jeff Keim doing a great job in the NFL over the last 30 days with a 15-3 record. And let's see. And the NFL current season, Jesse's 24-17 for the season and up $1,650 based on $100 a game or $100 a unit betting. And let me see if we got anything else for you here, Jesse. 3-0 the last 7 days in college football. And that's about it right now. So again, Jesse Schule over at gamblersworld.net. And if you go to gamblersworld.net, you'll see that big banner up on the front page, Thanksgiving special, buy 3, get 1 free. Simply what I just said. You purchase any 3-day package from any one of us there, and you'll get a 4th day absolutely free. Now, you could also find me there. And before I get to my game, let me just tell you what's been going on with me. 2-1 in the NBA, either 2-1 or 1-1 in the NBA last night, depending on what site you looked at me at. But 51-30 with my NBA picks since April 12th of this year. So that's good for 63%. NFL tailing off a little bit last week, but still in all, you look at since week 2, 33-23, 59%. My college football dating all the way back to December 2nd of last year, which is almost a year now, 66-44. That's good for 60%. And also, if you go to look at all sports, and I'm going to have to use sports capping as a reference point here because we just started our site at gamblersworld.net in July. Over since August, actually, no, it's at gamblersworld.net. Since August the 4th, I am 161-115, just a shade under 59%. And my dime players have won $35,500 during that time. Profited, net profit, folks. So there you have it. You can find me over at gamblersworld.net. And just a friendly reminder, folks, at gamblersworld.net, we guarantee all our plays, which simply means that all multi-game and single-game daily packages and subscription plans of 30 days or fewer, you must make a profit, you must win, or we will credit back your account the exact amount of your purchase price. That's gamblersworld.net. All right, Florida and Florida State. Boy, oh boy, Jesse, ironically, both starting quarterbacks for Florida and Florida State were hurt last week. Jordan Travis, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, went down in a game against North Alabama early on. And Florida's quarterback, Graham Mertz, who I've criticized heavily, and we all have at times. But boy, oh boy, the guy was red hot over the last second half of the season anyway. And he went down in last week's loss at Missouri. So we're going to see a battle of backup quarterbacks. But both of these teams, here's the thing. I'm looking for advantages here. So both teams, I believe, has obviously probably are going to lean heavily on the run game. And I look at both defenses, and head and shoulders, Florida State's the better defensive team in this matchup by a long shot. You're looking at over the last 7 games, the Seminoles have allowed just 13.7 points per game and a shade under 279 yards per contest. That's really, really good defense. And that includes their pass defense. If Florida has any notion they're going to be able to move the ball via the passing game with a backup quarterback, this is a team over that 7-game period in Florida State that's allowed just 133 yards per game passing and less than 5 yards per pass attempt. Florida's defense, on the other hand, over their last 5 games, and this is what's concerning if you're back in Florida in this game or if you're a Florida fan. Their last 5 games, Florida's allowed 41.5 points per game and over 537 yards per contest. That's horrible. Now, we said that both teams are probably going to lean on their run game. And if that's the case, again, I think there's an advantage here for Florida State because I just mentioned that terrible performances over the last 5 games for the Florida defense. And they're allowing 214 yards per game on the ground and 5.8 yards per attempt, per rushing attempt, I should specify, over that course of time. This is also a Gators team that, we joke with everybody at the beginning of the year when we caught a lot of flack about going against Florida early on against Utah, that if you thought your team was so good, then why was their regular season win total set at 5.5 by the books? And if you felt that good about it, why don't you bet your team over 5 wins? Well, the Gators got off to a 5-2 start, and a lot of people were laughing at us, but they've lost their last 4. They're 5-6, and now they're going to have to beat Florida State, not only to become bowl eligible, but more importantly, for any of you Florida fans out there, to bet your team over 5.5 wins to cash a ticket. Florida State, again, folks, I don't have to remind anybody a lot on this topic, but the Florida State Seminoles are 11-0. They're vying for a college football playoff spot. They need to get by Florida here, and then they have a tough one in the ACC championship game as well against Louisville, the upstart Louisville Cardinals, who shocked everybody with a first-year head coach. Not first year in terms of his first year ever as a head coach, but Coach Brown, first year at his alma mater as head coach, has done a terrific job there. So that won't be easy as well, but it would mean nothing if they lose to Florida in this game, because I could tell you what, they lose to Florida in this game. They've given the committee every excuse, no matter what happens in the ACC championship game, to say, no, we're not going to send Florida State to this. All right, the backup quarterback for Florida is Max Brown. You look at his performance line for a year, 10 for 12 for 106 yards. I mean, he came in late in the game against Missouri, was 4 for 5. But his other appearances came in mop-up duty against McNeese State and Vanderbilt. So again, it's one thing coming in off the bench. It's another thing when a team has a week to prepare for you, knowing that you're going to be the starting quarterback and you're going to be in from the get-go. Florida State quarterback Rodemaker, going into the year, nothing to get excited about. Going into the season, he had just thrown 7 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. But this year, I mean, again, he came in last week and had to play the majority of that game because Travis went down early. And he was 13 out of 23 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. For the year, he's 20 out of 31 for 376 yards. Those are some impressive numbers. And for the year, 5 touchdown passes against 0 interceptions. I just think, Jesse, Florida State's going to be able to run the ball successfully in this game. Their defense is, like I alluded to, is much the better stop unit of the two. They'll be stout again. And they're going to challenge the Florida quarterback, Max Brown, to beat him in the air. And I don't think he's capable of doing that. And I know I'm going to catch some flack from Florida fans here, but I think head and shoulders, Mike Norvell is a heck of a lot better head coach than Billy Napier. So I'm going to take Florida State here. I'm going to lay to 6.5, even with a backup quarterback, against the Florida Gators here in this big rivalry game and a huge game when it comes to national implications for Florida State. Jesse?
I emphatically agree, Ross, and I will point out, I think this Rodemaker kid has a chance to be the next Cardale Jones. When you look at the situation he's coming into, the receivers he has at his disposal, the offensive line, the defense he has backing him up. And one thing that you didn't touch on is his experience. He's been with Florida State, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. So he's, he hasn't got, he hasn't got into a lot of games, but he's clearly he's well in tune with the system. He's got plenty of experience around the team and the players. Whereas Max Brown, I think it's his first year at Florida, very little experience. Also, he doesn't have the same weapons at his disposal. Florida's got some issues with their defense, and this Florida team is a bit of a mess at times. And I mean, we look at this game last year. I think Florida State was a double-digit favorite. Now they're 6.5. Also, the loss of Graham Mertz potentially could hurt Florida more than people realize. Mertz, you mentioned that he's had a few good games in a row. I think overall Mertz has had a very impressive season. Even in the loss to Utah in week 1, Mertz actually played pretty well. And we had mentioned that we all thought that he was a terrible quarterback because at Wisconsin he was a terrible quarterback, but he had himself a pretty fine season. So yeah, I think Florida's going to miss him. I think Florida State has the weapons to not just win this game, but if they can get into the playoffs or into the to win the ACC championship game and potentially get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was looking away because I'm going to look at Graham Mertz's numbers here this year because they are very good, as Jesse alluded to. You're looking at for the season this year. I mean, this is a guy, Graham Mertz. He went down last week. How much it's going to hurt Florida, and Jordan Travis as well for Florida State. But Graham Mertz has completed 73% of his passes this year for 2,903 yards. 20 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions. So yeah, that's a huge loss
So
for Florida.
you were definitely selling him short when you said he had a few good games in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. I was undervaluing his entire season, and it's mind-boggling because you look at his numbers at Wisconsin for 3 years. He never exceeded 61%. And that was in his freshman year when he only threw 193 passes. He never had over 2,100 yards passing. And he threw 26 interceptions the prior 3 years at Wisconsin. He's thrown 3 this year. So,
I think he was getting booed by the home crowd at Wisconsin.
Yeah, and again, it's a product of the system, too. I mean, other than Russell Wilson, who's been a real good quarterback at Wisconsin, and Russell Wilson just came in his senior year when he transferred over from North Carolina State. So, again, I think, Wisconsin's a run-heavy type of offense, and Billy Napier, give him credit. I mean, they're balanced, Florida. If you look at, I believe they average 34 runs and 34 passes a game. Both of these teams are balanced. The one concern I do have, Jesse, when it comes to Florida State is they'll give up some yards on the ground, and Florida's run the ball very well. So, but I allude to the fact that, I'm not a defensive coordinator at a Power 5 school, but I don't think we're football knowledgeable. I would think that you're going to play 8 guys in a box and force Max Brown to beat you in the air. That's how I see it. Yeah,
And if Florida falls behind, they're going to be in big trouble as well.
Absolutely. If they have to be one-dimensional, yeah, I agree. Because as I alluded to, over the last 7 games, the Seminoles are giving up just 132 yards per game and less than 5 yards per attempt against the pass. So it's going to be a tough spot for Florida either way. But, the table, here's the thing. It's 6.5 now. If Graham Mertz was healthy against a backup quarterback for Florida, I got to believe this is a pick'em game, And I just, again, that's the one thing that scares me. You know what I mean? I look at this line, I look at the disparity in the numbers and records, and I know it's a rivalry game, but I can't get away from looking at the raw data and saying how, Florida State is, between their defense and their running game should be able to control the clock, get the lead, make Florida play left-handed, and we'll see what happens. But our official picks are Florida State -6.5 against Florida. And Jesse, he likes the Michigan and Ohio State game to go under the total of 46, and I certainly agree with him there. So Jesse, again, you guys don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Thailand, but we do. So I'm going to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving as well. And I hope that you make it an enjoyable day for you and your family. We won't be broadcasting tomorrow, folks, but Jesse and Sean will be back with me on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, our live show. I would hope that all of you out there that are I know a lot of you like to comment on the archives. Well, here's your chance to comment live and get an immediate response from any one of us. So again, mark it on your calendar. I know a lot of you won't be working on Friday in the States. So 3:00 Eastern time on Friday, Jesse Schule, Ross Benjamin, and Sean Higgs right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Jesse, there's a like button underneath. What should the folks do with that like button?
Smash that like button.
An emphatic smash that like button, folks. If you don't feel like smashing it, you're not a violent person, well, then just tap it. And it'll serve the same purpose. And it's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put into this podcast to make it the utmost quality and also not only give you free pick winners, but also more importantly is to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. Don't forget, if you have not subscribed already and you've been watching our show or you watched it today and you like it, and I don't know why you wouldn't. We're on 6 days a week. We talk sports betting every day. We give out free picks every day. We share handicapping knowledge every day with some of the best in the industry. Just hit that subscribe button if you're watching on your mobile device or a smart TV. You'll see that black subscribe button right underneath. If you're watching on your PC, there's a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Click on the subscribe button. And the best thing about subscribing to our channel, it's free. There's no strings attached. There's no subscription plans. There's no obligations. And if you just subscribed, or if you're a subscriber and you haven't done this, please take a second to go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And you'll be notified immediately upon us putting up any of our great podcasts right here on our channel. That's the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And don't forget, gamblersworld.net Thanksgiving special going on right now through Friday at midnight. If you buy a 3-day package from any one of us for the low price of $99, we're going to throw in a 4th day absolutely free. So take advantage of that offer, folks. Jesse, all the best to you, my man. And we'll see you on Friday. Until then, folks.
Yeah, you too,
Jesse,
Ross.
Thank you,
I hope
buddy.
you enjoy your turkey dinner.
I will. Thank you. It's not as good as them steaks you look. I'm not a turkey guy, Jesse. I'd rather have one of your steaks. But
it's really tough to get a turkey here, so we'll be having steak instead.
There you go. Enjoy. In any event, for Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. Take care and God bless.